What if I told you that humans once had skills so powerful, so advanced, that even modern technology can't fully recreate them? And the worst part is, those skills are now gone forever, lost to time, war, and forgotten history. And if you skip this video, you'll never know what humanity was truly capable of. Because in the next few minutes, I'm about to reveal ancient abilities that built impossible structures, healed without machines, and shaped entire civilizations. Yet today, we can only stare at the remains and ask one question: how did they do it? Imagine cutting stone harder than steel without electricity, no lasers, no modern tools, just human hands and ancient knowledge. Sounds impossible, right? But thousands of years ago, builders carved massive granite blocks so perfectly that even a blade can't slide between them, and no one alive today knows the exact method they used. Some say it was lost with secret guilds, others believe the knowledge was destroyed on purpose. But here's the scary part. What if we lost something more than just techniques? What if we lost entire ways of thinking, like the ancient art of Roman concrete, a material so strong that their harbors still stand after 2,000 years? While our modern concrete cracks in decades, scientists tried to copy it, but the exact formula was hidden, passed only through master builders. And when the empire fell, the secret vanished. And that's just the beginning. Because in the ancient world, there were healers who could treat broken bones, infections, and even brain injuries without modern medicine, using plants, pressure points, and techniques we barely understand today. Some of those medical scrolls were burned, others were locked away, and many were simply forgotten. And now we rely on machines because we no longer trust the human body's natural abilities. But here's where it gets darker. Ancient blacksmiths once created weapons that could slice through armor, like paper, Damascus steel, flexible, sharp, and nearly unbreakable. The recipe was never written down, it was memorized, whispered from master to apprentice, until the last smith died and the knowledge died with him, and now all we have are legends and museum pieces. But wait, how did ancient sailors cross entire oceans without GPS, without compasses, without maps, using only stars, waves, birds, and the wind? Polynesian navigators could sail thousands of miles across the Pacific and land on tiny islands with insane accuracy. Yet today, only a handful of people still understand this dying skill, and when they're gone, that ancient human connection to the ocean will vanish forever. And then there's the art of memory. Ancient scholars could memorize entire books, speeches, and histories without writing anything down, using mental palaces and visualization techniques. But in a world of phones and cloud storage, our memory is getting weaker, not stronger. And that's not an accident, because when knowledge becomes easy, we stop valuing it. And the most shocking lost skill of all might be the ability to build with meaning. Ancient architects didn't just build for function. They built with symbols, astronomy, and spiritual alignment. Pyramids, temples, stone circles, all connected to the stars, seasons, and human consciousness. But today, we build fast, cheap, and empty, forgetting the deeper connection between humans and the world around them. And here's the twist nobody talks about. Some ancient skills didn't disappear by accident. They were erased, destroyed during invasions, burned in libraries, buried with kings. Because knowledge is power, and power is dangerous when it's in the wrong hands. So the real question is not what did we lose, but why were we allowed to lose it, and what else is still hidden, waiting to be rediscovered? Because the truth is, humanity was never primitive. We were powerful, creative, and deeply connected to nature. And maybe the future doesn't lie in new technology, but in remembering the ancient skills we forgot, the ones that once made us unstoppable. You think the lost skills we talked about were shocking, but what if I told you that some ancient abilities were so advanced, so dangerous, and so powerful that history itself tried to bury them? Not because they were useless, but because they were too powerful to survive. Because when humans learn too much, someone always tries to control it, and the first skill that vanished was the art of controlling fire beyond just burning wood. Ancient civilizations didn't just use fire for cooking, they used it to shape metal, glass, stone, and even chemicals in ways we still don't fully understand. Some ancient texts describe flames that burned without smoke, fire that could melt stone, and furnaces that could reach temperatures modern blacksmiths struggle to achieve. Yet the blueprints for these ancient forges disappeared, and today we only find mysterious slag, melted rocks, and strange tools with no clear explanation. But fire was only the beginning, because ancient engineers also mastered water in ways that feel almost magical. Long before electric pumps, they built underground water systems that carried clean water across miles of desert, uphill, against gravity, using only pressure, angles, and natural flow. The Roman aqueducts still stand, but the real mystery lies in older systems, like the Persian qanats and the hidden water tunnels beneath ancient cities, systems so precise that modern engineers still study them. Yet the original construction methods were never written down, and when the builders died, the knowledge vanished with them. But here's where it gets even stranger. Ancient cultures didn't just move water, they listened to it. They believed water carried energy, memory, and healing power. And certain rituals use flowing water to treat illness, calm the mind, and even reset. The body, a concept modern science is only now beginning to explore. But the sacred techniques were erased when empires fell and religions changed. And then there was sound, not music, but sound as a tool. Ancient temples were designed to amplify voices, vibrations, and frequencies. Some chambers could make a whisper echo like thunder. Others could calm the nervous system just by standing inside, and certain chants were believed to heal the body, focus the mind, and even alter human consciousness. But these sound techniques were never preserved properly, because sound leaves no physical trace, only stories, and stories fade. Yet some ruins still sing when the wind passes through them, as if the stones remember what humans forgot. And speaking of memory, ancient societies once trained their minds like weapons. Young students memorized laws, history, medicine, and astronomy without books, because knowledge was stored in the brain, not on paper. They used mental maps, symbols, and storytelling techniques that turned memory into a superpower. But when writing became common, and later when technology took over, those memory systems were abandoned, and now we struggle to remember phone numbers, while ancient scholars could recall entire libraries. And this loss wasn't accidental. Because when knowledge is easy, it becomes disposable, but when it is hard to obtain, it becomes sacred, and that sacred mindset is what we lost. Then there was the ancient skill of reading the sky, long before satellites and weather apps. Humans could predict storms, seasons, and disasters by watching clouds, stars, birds, and wind patterns. They didn't just see the sky, they understood it. They knew when floods were coming, when crops would fail, when earthquakes were likely. But as cities grew and people moved indoors, this connection to nature faded. And today, we trust screens more than the sky. Even though the sky still speaks, we just stopped listening. And one of the most mysterious, lost skills was ancient navigation without tools. Not just sailing, but land navigation across deserts, jungles, and mountains. Without maps, some tribes could travel for days using only shadows, stars, and subtle changes in the land. But these skills were passed orally, not written, and when those cultures were destroyed or absorbed, the knowledge disappeared forever, leaving modern explorers dependent on technology that can fail at any moment. And then there's the ancient art of crafting with purpose. Blacksmiths, potters, builders, and weavers didn't just make objects, they infused meaning into them. Every pattern told a story. Every symbol had a reason. Tools were designed not just for use, but for identity, culture, and spiritual connection. But mass production erased this mindset, turning meaningful creation into fast consumption. And with that, we lost the deeper understanding of why we build at all. And here's a twist that will change how you see history. Many ancient skills weren't lost because people forgot them. They were lost because someone wanted them gone. When conquerors invaded new lands, they burned libraries, destroyed temples, and killed knowledge keepers, because controlling information was easier than controlling people. And the most dangerous knowledge was the kind that made people independent, self-reliant, and connected to nature, so it had to disappear. And some of those lost skills were medical. Ancient surgeons performed brain operations using stone tools, herbal anesthesia, and precise techniques, and many patients survived. Skulls with healed surgical marks prove it. Yet the medical manuals that explained these methods were destroyed, replaced by newer systems, not always better, just different. And then there was ancient psychology. Long before modern therapy, humans understood trauma, fear, and emotional balance through rituals, storytelling, and community healing. They treated the mind as seriously as the body, but as societies became more individual and competitive, mental health knowledge became fragmented, and many ancient emotional healing practices vanished, leaving people more connected digitally, but more isolated mentally. And one of the most shocking lost skills was the ability to build structures that lasted thousands of years, not decades. Ancient builders used stone, lime, ash, and natural materials in ways that made buildings stronger over time, not weaker. Modern structures often decay faster, yet we still don't fall. I understand how ancient materials were mixed, cured, and shaped without modern chemistry, because those secrets were kept within families and guilds, never shared openly, and when those groups disappeared, the knowledge vanished too, and now we stand in front of ancient ruins, wondering how people without electricity created something we struggle to copy with machines. And the final, most dangerous lost skill of all, might be the ancient understanding of balance between humans and nature, technology and tradition, power and responsibility. Ancient societies knew that too much control leads to collapse, too much expansion leads to destruction, and too much comfort leads to weakness. But modern civilization forgot this lesson, chasing speed, profit, and convenience instead of wisdom. And that's why ancient skills feel mysterious, because they were built on patience, discipline, and respect for the natural world, not shortcuts. And here's the powerful truth. These skills didn't vanish because humans became smarter. They vanished because humans became busier, louder, and more distracted. And when we stop paying attention, knowledge fades, but maybe not forever. Because some skills are hidden in old ruins, ancient texts, and forgotten traditions, waiting for curious minds to rediscover them. And maybe the future of humanity doesn't depend on inventing something new, but on remembering what we already knew. Because the past wasn't primitive, it was powerful. And the real question isn't what did we lose, it's what are we ready to bring back? You think ancient skills were just about building, healing, or navigating, but what if the most dangerous lost abilities were never about tools at all? What if they were about the human mind, the human body, and the hidden forces of nature that modern science still struggles to explain? Because long before machines, ancient people trained themselves to survive in ways that feel almost superhuman today. Warriors who could fight for days without rest, monks who could slow their heartbeat, healers who could sense illness before symptoms appeared, and tribes who could endure extreme cold, hunger, and pain using nothing but mental control, breathing techniques, and ancient discipline. But these skills were never written down properly. They were taught face to face, master to student, and when wars, plagues, and empires wiped out those lineages, the knowledge disappeared forever. And one of the most mysterious lost abilities was the ancient mastery of the human body. Some cultures could enter trance states that reduced pain, increased strength, and sharpened focus. Warriors used these states in battle, hunters used them to track prey, and healers used them to treat trauma. But modern society replaced discipline with convenience, and the body became something we rely on machines to fix instead of training it to adapt. And then there's the lost art of breathing. Not simple breathing, but controlled breathing tech. Techniques that could regulate emotions, increase endurance, and even influence the nervous system. Ancient traditions understood that breath was power, and those who mastered it could master themselves. But today, most people don't even realize how shallow their breathing has become, because stress, screens, and speed have disconnected us from our own bodies. And when that connection is lost, so is control. And control was everything in the ancient world, because ancient survival depended on awareness, focus, and mental strength, not apps and alarms. And speaking of awareness, ancient people could read signs in nature that modern humans ignore. Subtle changes in animal behavior, wind direction, soil movement, and sound patterns warned them of danger long before disasters struck. But as cities grew and humans separated from the natural world, this skill faded, and now we only react after the damage is done, not before. And here's where it gets even darker. Ancient knowledge wasn't just lost to time, it was sometimes destroyed on purpose, because certain skills gave people independence, and independence is dangerous to those who want control. Libraries were burned, teachers were silenced, sacred sites were destroyed, and with them vanished knowledge about healing, survival, and self-mastery, because a population that knows how to survive without systems is hard to control. And one of the most powerful lost skills was the ability to live in balance with nature. Ancient societies, too, only what they needed, respected cycles, and understood that the land was not just a resource, but a living system. But modern civilization replaced respect with extraction, speed with patience, and wisdom with profit. And now we wonder why the world feels unstable, because we forgot the ancient rule: when humans forget balance, nature reminds them. And then there were the ancient rituals, not superstition, but structured practices that strengthened community, mental health, and emotional resilience. People didn't face life alone, they faced it together, through shared stories, ceremonies, and meaning. But modern life replaced community with isolation, screens, and competition. And with that, we lost ancient emotional survival skills that kept society strong from the inside. And one of the most shocking lost abilities was the ancient understanding of fear. Ancient warriors were trained to control fear, not eliminate it. They used it as fuel, not weakness. But today, fear controls us through news, pressure, and constant information overload. Because when people are afraid, they are easier to guide, easier to influence, and easier to distract. And the final forgotten skill, the one that connects all the others, was the ancient ability to live with purpose, not chasing endless comfort, but chasing meaning. Ancient people didn't ask, how can I live easier? They asked, how can I live better? Stronger, wiser, and more connected to the world around them. But modern life taught us to chase speed, luxury, and convenience instead of growth. And that's why ancient skills feel powerful, because they were built on effort, discipline, and awareness, not shortcuts. And here's the truth that history doesn't want you to think about. Humanity didn't lose these skills because we evolved. We lost them because we got distracted. And when a species forgets how strong it can be, it becomes easier to control, easier to guide, and easier to break. But maybe these skills are not gone forever. Maybe they are sleeping, hidden in ancient texts, forgotten traditions, and human potential itself, waiting for the next generation to ask the right questions. Because the real power was never in the tools, it was always in us.